Hello, welcome to today's webinar. I appreciate everyone joining. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late getting started here. My name is Derek Top. I am the research director and principal analyst with Opus Research, and I'm excited to be here with you all today. We'll talk about how Opus Research, yes, we'll unpack how SESTEK and Zorlu holdings are leveraging AI to transform CX among other things. So, looking forward to a lively discussion here. This is a live, interactive webinar. We do encourage folks to be part of this webinar by asking questions. You'll see there's an ask a question button underneath the video screen where you can go ahead and ask questions. You can make comments. You can be a part of the discussion all the way throughout. So really do encourage you guys to take advantage of that. And we do have a planned Q&A at the end, but also at the same time, if we do want, feel free to ask questions in the middle of our presentation. So with that, let's go ahead and introduce the rest of the crew here. Again, I'm Derek Top, principal analyst and research director with Opus. I'll pass it over to and you can see our video screens are on the right, to Barak, and introduce himself and tell us his role at Zorlu.
Hi, Derek. Hi, all. Yeah, I'm working as a Technology and Defense Ventures Group President at Zorlu. And Zorlu Group is one of the top 5 conglomerate of Turkey, working in diverse industries, including white goods, consumer electronics, real estate, energy, and textile.
Great. We'll hear more about that, but yeah, obviously you guys have control and are have a lot of interest, which in different industries, which is great to hear, and we'll hear more about your AI story there. And we're also here with Yalam from SESTEK. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, of course, Derek. Hi, everyone. My name is Yalam and I'm the managing director for North America for SESTEK. So it's exciting to meet you all.
I just want to say hi to here, have our videos. I think we do have our slides up and ready now. So cool. Thank you, Yalam and Barak, for joining us. And like I said, this is interactive. We do encourage folks to ask questions and be a part of the discussion here. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with some kind of headlining questions and topics around AI and how how we are seeing in our world at Opus, which we, as Opus Research, we're an analyst firm. We cover these technologies. We look at enterprises and how they're using them, and really kind of the role of technology and business outcomes. So there's been a gap, of course, in AI activity and AI returns. There's been hype for a number of years now, but in terms of there is a lot of interest in using it. People have found, both from a consumer perspective and their employees are playing with these technologies. They're also learning how to recognize the ways to make it faster, but actually making AI activity into repeatable business returns is still a big challenge. And we'll get into some of the reasons why that might be right now. And even as these employees and businesses are using AI, we're also entering the new agentic era, meaning that is where AI can listen, can make decisions, can reason, can execute actions and tasks, all in an autonomous way, which is a fundamentally different capability than just the kind of the original Gen AI we think about. So this is going to be also something that you as organizations need to think about how you'll take those new agentic capabilities into action. But of course, this really means that the real opportunity isn't just working faster. It's not just making sure that that you're able to summarize calls in a quick way. It's really kind of creating value and doing work differently. So this is where we at Opus look at customer experiences and also customer service and how AI can handle these service demands, not just by doing things faster, but again by doing things in a smarter way and creating that value. In particular, but we look at conversational data. And really how that is an underutilized asset and how you can use these in your organization. So from a larger standpoint, why is ROI breaking down? I mean, this is, again, we're seeing enterprises, and Barak will get into this too, with Zorlu in terms of how they have invested and looked at AI from a fundamentally different way. But because the goal has to be a sustained business impact. We're seeing this right now in terms of sometimes enterprises and organizations are allowing AI use, but sometimes the tokens get there's use that goes out of touch of what the actual the value is. So yeah, what are ways to make sure that the ROI doesn't break? Well, at first it's the fragmented and incomplete data. That's a clear sign right now where people have deployed a chat bot, or they have a very simple way to get it going, but that's a tool. It's not necessarily something that can be can really be clear, measurable outcomes. And a lot of pilots are failing this simple test as far as having that incomplete data. The undefined and isolated use cases. This is again where if you think about AI in a more solitary and segmented way, sometimes you're not able to get all the value out of that, and especially if you're not able to define the use case and define that value from the beginning. And lastly here, and we'll get into this quite a bit in this discussion actually, is around change management and how that reduces adoption and impedes transformation. People technology doesn't necessarily, it's not the AI failure. People are expected to use AI, trust AI, and supervise AI, but they need a clear model, an operating model to really help them leverage those resources and that data. So I'm going to talk largely about conversational data, but you have more data than ever, right? You generate it in your organization, both from chats, from voice calls, from workflows, from business processes, from employee conversations, routing and staffing, and all these different data on your onboarding and HR and on your all the back office type of systems include data. So this is not something that we're struggling with in terms of the gathering of the data. It's the volume of it that is the problem. It's not value and just pure volume. You need to actually make use of that. And that's the difference between like a chat bot that just kind of answers one system and more of a system that actually leverages conversational data, both from an intelligence standpoint and also from a self-service standpoint. So we're looking at how this affects enterprises and customer service organizations across look at the entire customer journey, not just an isolated data point. So we at Opus, this is our car construct that we talk about, which we think of as called the conversation experience orchestration, or CXO. We use that as a term as well. But this is, these are the worlds that we're living in. The three kind of outer circles that make up the Venn diagram are the most important for us. We look at conversational AI. So that is, think about it from a self-service standpoint, the ability to leverage text and voice and web chats and messaging, WhatsApp to really kind of allow customers to do the tasks they want to do on their own. That means understanding what they're saying. That means understanding intent and building a good understanding of how that might be answered, and then also delivering on the task that needs to happen. Conversation intelligence on the lower right is closely tied to this, and actually Yalam at SESTEK will talk more about this as well in terms of how they're looking at this side of the world. We also have been covering this for many years at Opus Research, and think about it from the advancements of speech analytics and kind of really the pure analytics that your customers are telling you whenever you have an interaction, and those are this is the kind of why they may have called. And so we look at these as a way to they tie those together. We actually did a conversation intelligence in IntelliView, which looks at kind of measuring insights and how do you generate insights from that, and how do you continuously improve. SESTEK, again, who's part of that, was a part of that, and one of the leaders in that particular report. So you take the kind of intelligence side, you take the self-service, the AI side, and then you lay on top of that agentic automation, which is, again, this kind of next step that we're looking at, which is where you're taking actions across systems, across workflows, and including the multi-step reasoning. That becomes, in the middle, what we think of as orchestration. And with that does require deliberate architecture, requires integrations and permissions and data strategy and governance and actually more the kind of the systems that Barack will also talk about as well, as far as how you get those in place and really kind of control this in a more systemic way, as opposed to just having one-off types of applications of AI with an organization. So it does all work together. And then my last slide here is just to kind of talk more about change management and really what we see as the way to adoption. We do see this as a significant barrier. We do see this as something that technology alone can't create value from AI. You need people, and this is how it really is important to tie this to AI outcomes, connecting the results, and then building the steps in place for your employees, for your systems to work, less friction, better service. Then redesign how work gets done. Again, like including your enterprise in that in terms of updating workflows and roles and giving incentives to use the technology. You can't just bolt on AI. It really is something that has to be more integrated as part of a fundamental part of our work every day. And then adoption from day one, and we're training and coaching and feedback are all part of the rollout. That has to be, we find that to be much more effective to get people to really create the value from AI. And then we talk about from AI from a pilot to operating model. So yes, this is and that really is where that becomes that compounding value. It's not just an incremental getting things done faster, but really kind of creating more value within the organization, and tying those directly to measurable business outcomes. So those are our kind of thoughts on ideas and on how to get started with some of the agentic CX stuff. And I'm going to pass it over to Barak here, who's going to tell us a little more about their perspective and how they're getting things done.
Thank you, Derek. I would like to really bring you the Zorlu Holding perspective on AI journey that Derek mentioned very wisely. Let me share our experience. But before we start, like I mentioned, let me give you more information about Zorlu Holding. Zorlu Holding is one of the top 5 conglomerate of Turkey operating in different verticals, including the white goods, energy, electronics, metallurgy, and real estate, and emerging technologies as well. And we do have operating with the daughter companies with 60 plus companies across multiple industries and more than 30,000 employees. And with this, let me start my presentation with the real slides. As Derek mentioned, right now everyone is talking about AI, and in February, World Economic Forum in Davos was purely focusing on AI. And beyond the hype, how industries are deploying AI at the heart of the operations was very good article coming out of WEF. I think AI was on top of our agenda for the last 3 years. What makes AI powerful is the change that AI triggers in different verticals. And that's so real, that's so obvious, and that's coming as a big wave. And with this, why AI transformation was a necessity for us is very obvious, because as Charles Darwin say, only the fittest will survive in this hyper competition environment, especially in the verticals that we operate, like white goods and electronics. The competition is very tough and fierce. And in order to survive, we need to get the maximum out of the AI transformation and what it brings to our life. That's why we are focusing on AI and AI journey too much. But the question is not why. The question is how we can implement AI projects into our daily life. In that sense, we come up with a comprehensive program, not a bunch of POCs scattered all over the companies under the Zorlu Holding umbrella. Because when we made a kind of desk research, we have analyzed the BCG reports, McKinsey reports, Harvard Business Review cases, and everyone was saying that the POC is a very common approach in different enterprises are doing, but rollout and the implementation is the problem area. And when we take a look at the why the rollout is not taking place, and why 7 to 95% of the digital transformation of AI or AI transformation projects fail, we we found out that it's not about the AI, it's not about the technology, it's about the people and the culture. And like the different articles mentioned and underlined, the 70% of the transformation journey is the people and the culture, and 30% is the technology. So the technology is relatively easy part, but the people and the culture transformation is the tough part. For that reason, we come up with a comprehensive program, starting with the awareness and training, which is the change management program that we identify here. And the third step is the project development. And fourth is the project monitoring. And the last is critical for culture change is reward and recognition. So with this 5 comprehensive program, we kicked off the Zorlu AI transformation project. With this, when we announced the awareness program and come up with lots of YouTube newsletter workshops, and on top of this, when we create an awareness, we come up with the training programs with different levels through face-to-faces, webinars, online trainings. We come up with a very good excitement about the AI transformation. That's the point when from different LBUs, business units, the use cases popped up. And when we come up with this different 362 use cases, we put this in a dashboard. And in this dashboard, we collect what is the real business value comes up with these use cases. And this the value was the super critical part of the transformation journey, because the POC stays in different parts of the enterprises, because the business value is not really focused on. And when we come up this funnel approach, we collect the ideas, and then we put these ideas in this quadrant that you can see in the lower left-hand corner. And we scattered all the 362 use cases according to ease of doing and the impact created by these use cases. And we focus on the upper right corner, which is the most impactful and easy to do use cases. Last year, we completed 60 of use cases, creating over $10 million of US dollars per annum. And we come up with more than 100 FTE per annum, FTE saving per annum. And this year, our target is to complete the next 118 use cases, again, focusing on the upper right-hand quarter of the quadrant. And hopefully, when we come up with the second wave of the AI project implementation, we will come up with a magic milestone that we will achieve. One important thing with these use cases, we not only focus on the financial return, but we focus on the strategic impact of the use cases, or the hybrids of them. I mean, financial plus the strategic use cases. And also within this 362 projects, we focus on not only the Gen AI projects, which is easy to fix project, but also analytical AI projects and image processing project as well. But the last year, when we kick off the program, we focus first on the quick wins, because the people are very skeptic about the outcome of the AI projects, and we would like to show these are the real business values coming out of the quick wins, and you can really trust these AI projects, and you can really keep going on implementing the AI project. That's why we focused on the 60 use cases last year, and then we are rolling out 118 this year. As the last slide.
Sorry, actually, I just want to ask you about that, because these are really impressive numbers, and I think in terms of that kind of identifying the use cases and really looking at kind of the 62 wins, which is great. How involved were your employees? How did you identify like specifically all the use cases? Is there a team that you have within your transformation group, and then do you work directly with some of the lines of business in terms of identifying where each of those, the different AI layers could be a part of their daily work?
Yeah, actually, we didn't come up with a central approach. So as a holding company, we didn't set up a team identifying the use cases in different parts of the companies. Rather than that, we formed the AI teams and AI champions and volunteers scattered from different companies. And by this, the business unit ownership is achieved, because as a technology team, as an IT team, we can't really identify exactly what is the legal department's real pain point and how it can be addressed by AI, or how R&D team in the Vestel white good can benefit from AI, or how the software team just coding the firmware can benefit from AI, or how HR team. I can really multiply the examples. I mean, marketing team comes up with their own use cases. They know their business much better than us, and they know how they can tackle with AI after our awareness sessions and after our training sessions. I mean, with this two-step, we enable them what to expect from AI and what they can't expect from AI. So it was a kind of a good awareness program that we launched, and we really benefited from this one. Yeah. And when we come up with the ideation coming from the business units, they own the idea. They really identify the real business value of the idea. We didn't name that. I mean, when you implement a Harvey AI tool in a legal department, you can save 50% or 20%. They name it, and we put them in a dashboard. We followed the implementation results, and we really recognize the good contribution from different parts of the companies.
Great. Yeah, no, that's helpful.
And the next slide, like I mentioned, we focused on the quick wins, because seeing is believing. In a large organization like us, where we have 30,000 employees, everyone was at the start was very skeptic about what they should expect from AI. If the AI will kill their job, if AI will endanger their process that they are doing for the last 20 years, or if the AI is a trustable solution, if AI comes up with the hallucinations and lots of problems that they can trigger. So that's why we focused on the quick wins. And the customer experience AI rollout with the partnership of SESTEK was a real impactful use case implementation for us. And the numbers was speaking itself. So we completed this with Vestel, with our customer experience center and the support center at Vestel and also Zorlu Energy. And it had twofold. First, conversational AI, where voice bot is implemented at the level of support for customer experience. And as you can see that with the delivery of the goods, with the installation of the goods, we have a significant results. And when we can really answer the questions of the customers very easily, and we can really implement automatic solutions or answers to the customer requests. And also, in the name of the customer intelligence, we didn't really leave the answers and the questions just flowing around the voice bots or chat bots. We really analyzed them in detail and learned and come up with the actions from the answers and the questions. I think this is one of the important quick wins, which is underestimated by many voice bots or AI chatbot implementations around the world. I mean, only voice intelligence or voice bot is not really helpful. Perhaps it's the most sexy part, but the intelligence is the super important part of this, because with this, we can really analyze each and every call and get an action from them. And that's how we also replicated at Zorlu Energy with the agentic AI implementation, again with SESTEK.
Great. And just on that, I mean, like you mentioned, like as far as the getting the insights, that's, I mean, that also then helped you, I guess there's a feedback loop, right? In terms of the intelligence of what was said and how that was learned, helps you then understand that how to ask the question better next time, or like a kind of all the numbers kind of go up in terms of self-service and deflection, whatever you're looking from an adoption standpoint. So I'm just curious from the numbers that that you saw with the here that you're presenting. What was the expectation? Were these meet what you wanted to get into, or how did you kind of achieve the goals that you wanted to with the VoiceBot projects?
Yeah, with the ideation phase, we really set our goal for CX AI rollout, and by we, I mean the business unit plus technology team. And our expectation is really increase the speed of the answers to the customer calls, at least by 30%, and the cost reduction at least by 25%. But when we come up with the rollout, as you can see, the numbers are really impressive. We really come up with the level 1 support, or fault calls resolved without agent is 65%. And without opening ticket, the numbers is 55%. And we overachieve our initial set targets in every space by the implementation of AI voice bots and chat bots. And also with the speech analytics, previously we were only focusing on 0.4% of the calls. Right now, we are covering the 100% of each and every call. And we are not only focusing on how we are answering to the questions, what are the commonalities, but we are also focusing on the root causes of the problems.
Right.
We can really prevent the root causes by focusing on more R&D of the white goods, or the manuals, or the trainings around the service installations. So there are lots of hidden gems in this speech analytics that we identified through the implementation. And also, when we take a look at the competition analysis, as you can see, our competitive advantage against national competition 1 and international competition 2 is really superior. So we really focus ourselves in a much better position by only coming up with the quick win implementation of CX AI.
Right. No, that makes sense, and obviously you're seeing results. So let's go ahead and maybe move to the next slide, and then Yalam, you can kind of tell us a little more about SESTEK, and then like how Burak was able to, with some of the analytics technologies, to achieve this kind of goals.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. As you have talked about it, and also you touched on it, and also Burak mentioned in his slides, it's kind of there's a feedback loop. So we have, when we take a look at I can't move the slides right myself.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, great. So let me take a look at this overall customer service contact center domain. What we're seeing is with the introduction of this agentic AI, large language models first, generative AI first, and then we started having this agentic AI frameworks affecting all parts of this domain. And we're going through a significant transformation, maybe the most significant in its history of when you take a look at this, of how revolutionary is AI to this space. And now what we're seeing is now AI agents have become part of our workforce, right? So it's not only a tool, they are part of our workforce. And now they are resolving customer issues autonomously. And whereas we still have human agents for some complex issues and maybe where there is like emotional sensitivity required, and then human agents are augmented then by real-time intelligence during every conversation and every interaction, whether handled by an AI stack behind or human, should be analyzed, measured, and turned into some insight for business intelligence. So this is actually what we call as agentic CS. We have come up with our rebranding of our solutions, and along with some further integrations between the solutions, we have come up with this agentic CX solution suite. As you can see on the left-hand side, you see the agentic AI part where we employ our own homegrown speech recognition engines and text-to-speech engines. So our dependency in that regard is minimal to third parties or large language models. Of course, we utilize those models as part of our agentic AI framework, but we provide more than what many other vendors you can see out there. And then the co-pilot part is also critical. And that's not only whenever we talk about agent co-pilot, people tend to understand that it's only agent assist. It's beyond what we provide with the agent co-pilot is beyond agent assist. So we talked about it, and we said, okay, it's not only assisting the agent on the go, it's important and powered by generative AI with large language models, with AI agents behind. We can make it seamless, but it's beyond that. So there is a communication problem, and an agent talking to another customer, a caller, speaking in a different language. So how can we remove that friction out of the way? And then we came up with this virtual translator. So our co-pilot is different in that regard. It's assisting the agent, but also helping them speak to people who are speaking in different languages on the go. So that is the agent co-pilot suite that is augmenting the agent's capabilities. And as you and Burak mentioned and underlined many times, it's critical. I think conversational intelligence, after the introduction of agentic AI, now there's a big buzz around agentic AI, but conversational intelligence is a little bit now underrated. Mm-hmm. It is so critical to the success of all other things. So if you don't know what's going on in your operation, if you don't extract the insights timely, you cannot act on it. Burak actually just mentioned that. I mean, they can see what are the holdups, how can they improve the customer experience, why the CSAT scores are going down, why NPS is going down. So you can basically increase the NPS and CSAT scores by analyzing on the calls interactions, be it a chat interaction, be it a voice interaction, and improve it. So our framework, the agentic CX framework that we came up with, is starting with automation, then augmenting the human agents, and improving with the conversational intelligence. And we are kind of different because there are out there companies who are coming up with some point solutions. You can find tons of companies providing agentic AI solutions or co-pilot or conversational intelligence solutions as point solutions. What we try to do with and bring a kind of bring more value to the customer is coming up with this holistic approach with all these solutions, feeding each other with information and intelligence to make the other work better, so that every interaction makes the next one better. Right? So that is our motto: like make every interaction better than the former one. So, and this approach, we believe that is going to fix the breaking CX operating model that is composed of siloed, isolated solutions, trying to integrate it, but it's never talking in a natively integrated manner. Right. So removing all those integration barriers coming up with a holistic solution is our agentic CX vision.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think that's, I mean, that kind of gets into what we talk about when we talk about agentic capabilities and really kind of how these compounding value and creating value and kind of seeing the broader impact as opposed to kind of one-off type of solutions. So I think that does make sense. And I want to go ahead and get into, well, we're coming up on time here, so I just want to go ahead and do the Q&A. And we have a question came in earlier about the financial impact. Actually, I think I do want to kind of follow up that in a second here, and about if we saw about what was how did you quantify? I guess, and Barak, I'll just kind of talk about this in a broader sense. And you did mention it obviously with the 360, or I forget the number, kind of use cases and identifying the opportunities. But what, you know, and you talked about in terms of, you know, you can't exactly follow up with every single line of business to understand their specific problems, but you were able to put a number to that impact. How would you help other organizations who are looking to do that? How could they start? And especially and just kind of tying it directly to what Yalam just talked about, kind of as we look at kind of the next level of AI, which is really leveraging the processes, the systems, the data underneath and a platform level, really is going to be critical for getting the most value out of AI. How are you helping, or what did you do, and how could other organizations learn from what you did about?
Yeah, thank you, Derek. And to address the Wayne's question, actually, the business owners identify the business value during the ideation phase, okay, and they name the financial impact they expected from a project. And then they registered the project into the dashboard. But the business owner is not alone. So we asked the general manager of the company sit together with the directors and go over the each and every project, AI project, and assess the impact, business impact. Mm-hmm. The business impact can be a financial impact or a strategic impact. Financial impact is easy to quantify, like the CX experience in Vestel. We can quantify the number of calls that we will achieve by AI voice bots, and the seats that we require to roll it out or save, I would say. But some other projects are not easy to come up with the financial impact, but the strategic impact, which can be qualitatively registered during the process, the project development phase, like the improving the R&D life cycle, or the net promoter score, or the customer experience, customer happiness. We can, again, quantify this, but the financial impact is not that obvious time to time. But in the strategic impact project, we again sit together with the GM and the directors, and also with the AI champions, and go over one by one. With the 362 project, it's easy to go one by one with the owners, the sponsors, the AI champions, and register them to the dashboard. And when we have all the projects, we quantify the projects, then we put them in the quadrant and focus on the high impact and easy to do project. But it's easy to name the project, but it's difficult to industrialize the project, mm-hmm, because many organizations identify the user, the use cases, identify the project, but most of the time it stays in the POC or it stays in the pilot phase. It never goes to the execution phase. And we really track one by one the top priority projects, and monitor by monthly meetings and by quarterly meetings with the CEO how it's progressing. If there is a bottleneck, we can sort it out. If there is a budgetary problem that we didn't foresee, or if it's a capacity problem, if it's a capability problem that we need to address, and we sort it out each and every problem, and then we monitor the progress. And it's not enough to really see the execution in the rollouts. We really measure the financial return and strategic return of the projects after 3 months of implementation, 6 months of implementation, and 1 year of implementation. And to be fair and transparent, internal control and audit team is assigned to assess the implementation and financial return of the project, because the business unit owners can really exaggerate the implementation.
No.
or vice versa. I mean, they can really minimize the implementation. But the internal control and audit really take a snapshot and really understand if the financial return is in place or not.
That's impressive. That's amazing in terms of the kind of the level of auditability, the transparency. Also, the executive buy-in. You mentioned having those kind of CEO quarterly meetings or whatever, and I think you're a part of the board, but still, that like having that sense of where, you know, directionally, strategically, as an organization, you're going, and have AI be just a very fundamental part of that day-to-day strategy, I think is critical. So that's a great story, and I think that's something that I think a lot of people can learn about that. Yalam, I'll turn to you for a quick question in terms of part of the other challenges here. We haven't really talked about this, is around security and governance and data and guardrails and all the kind of, you know, it came up a little bit here, just what Barak was mentioning about kind of the auditing, but that was more about the kind of just making sure that the
right, absolutely.
So yeah, how do you address those concerns?
Yeah, I think so. You touched on some of those on your slides as well, and Barak also mentioned about it. So a few things. So what differentiates a solution, an ordinary solution, from an enterprise solution, or the vice versa. So you have to, if it's a solution to be deployed at enterprise level, so that needs to have some attributes such as being able to comply with the audit frameworks, like or AI governance, if you're talking about AI right now. So Barak touched on it, like hallucinations and all other stuff, like guardrails, what kind of guardrail mechanisms that you have in place, or testing. So is it possible to test it, some simulations, so that for different use cases, for different personas, like that this bot is supposed to serving to, then what can you run some tests around it? So those are some necessary capabilities in the enterprise space, if that solution is going to be deployed on an enterprise customer base. So as I mentioned, I mean, you may come across a new agentic AI startup, even not every day, every hour probably. So that there are a lot of solutions coming up, and those are the differences that I think we bring onto the table by bringing all these AI testing capabilities, AI governance, privacy frameworks that we introduce. One thing that is important is, I think we took AI governance and privacy to the center of our whole development effort as a company. So that is, whatever we do, whatever feature capability we develop, we make sure that we don't compromise on any framework that we already certified on, comply with, and we keep adding new frameworks, such as we recently, Derek is one of the few companies on earth, I guess, in this space. We got we're now compliant with ISO 42001.
Okay.
So yeah, we have passed through the audit. So we're proudly saying that. So our AI governance and privacy framework is second to none. It's top of the line. So those things, I think, are critical, AI governance part. So that is, I was reading, so I think it was Gartner saying that, okay, it's usually whenever you deploy a project, there is always a technical debt that you need to, so there should be a kind of a feature gap or a capability gap that you need to follow, and that's common and within the technology world. Now there is a trust debt, right? So with the introduction of AI, so how are you gonna address that trust that with this new technology in place, right? We do that.
Exactly, and I think it does. It overcomes the kind of challenges, and also overcomes,
Right.
and it enables opportunities that may not have been there before because of the fact that you have the certifications and the licensing, and all the
Exactly.
governance in place. So, well, I think we're at time here, so I want to say thank you to Yalam and Barak and all of you for participating, and yeah, great information. And appreciate your thoughts and insights here. And I think if anyone has questions, they can follow up with all of us. We'd be happy to answer offline, I'm sure. So
thank you very much, Barak. Thank
right.
you very much, Derek.
Thanks, everyone. All right, bye.
See you, everyone. Bye.